Thank you so much for tuning in American Medicine Today. I am Kimberly Bonatti alongside Ethan Euchre.
Happy to be here.
And alongside us is world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. Alfred Bonatti.
Hi.
For decades, experts have believed that we're at the mercy of our genes and that natural damage to our genes makes us become sick and grow old. But what if aging is really just a treatable disease? Joining us right now is Dr. David Sinclair, professor of genetics at Harvard Medical School, one of Time's most influential people and author of the new book Lifespan, The Revolutionary Science of Why We Age and Why We Don't Have to. I'm intrigued. So thank you for joining us, Dr. Sinclair.
Hi, Kimberly. Thanks for having me on.
Yes.
Yeah, we actually had you on, I want to say late last year, almost a year ago now, and I believe your book hadn't come out yet, and it was fascinating, and you sort of gave us a tease of what you had coming up, and I know that many of the recent breakthroughs in aging research have actually come from your lab. So tell us what you've discovered and what these vitality genes are all about.
So I'm at Harvard Medical School. We have about 40 people working hard to figure out the first step, why we age, and the second step, which is why we don't have to age the way we do now. The book's just come out. It's been great to see it rise up into the New York Times bestseller list. So there's a lot of interest. So let me tell you about what people will find in the book and if they come visit me at Harvard. We are looking for, first of all, why we age. And in the book, I talk about a theory that can explain many, if not all of the last 100 years of observations about aging. We know that if we don't exercise, we know that if we eat a bad diet, if we're always full and we don't experience any hunger, we know that those things don't lead to a long, healthy life. What we've discovered is that there are genetic pathways that are actually underneath all of this. In our cells, every one of our cells has these longevity genes. And by living a lifestyle, and in some cases supplements, and in two cases drugs that are already on the market, we can activate those pathways and give us a much healthier life. So vigorous life into our 80s and beyond, we think.
So are you referring to what's known as telomeres or telomerase when you're talking about?
Well, that's part of the story. So the aging field moved away from antioxidants in the 1990s and discovered that there are genes that protect the body. And then in terms of why we age, we declared maybe 10 years ago that there are about 9 hallmarks of aging, 9 main causes of aging, one of which is telomere shortening, which got a lot of attention about 20 years ago. And we declared victory. We found all 9 causes of aging. But actually, what I'm saying in my book and in papers that we're about to publish scientifically is that those hallmarks, including telomere shortening, they don't explain why they occur in the first place. We don't yet have a theory, although I'm just about to put one out, and it's in the book, that what's happening to the body to make all this happen are actually what are called epigenetic changes. And epigenetic changes is just a complex word for the systems in the body that read the genes in the right way. And so what I'm saying is that all this bad stuff, including telomere shortening, is at its core a loss of cells' ability to read genes at the right time. And that leads to all the diseases that we think of in old age.
So how can we treat the disease of aging so that we can stay young and youthful and
vigorous,
vibrant,
live a long time?
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yes.
Right. Well, there are a few ways. I wrote a book because I have a lot of things to tell people about what can be done in their daily lives and what I do as well. But essentially what I'm saying is that there are certain ways to keep the body in a slightly stressed state. Now, I'm not talking about emotional stress. I'm talking about making the body feel like there's some adversity. So that's why high-intensity training, so be out of breath while running or walking fast for 10 minutes is good. The body gets nervous that there's adversity. Being hungry, skipping a meal, sometimes 2 a day is what I do. That hunger puts the body in a state of perceived adversity. And other things I talk about, such as hot and cold temperatures that you can expose yourself to, and other things as well, what you should eat and when you should eat. Those all activate what I call the survival circuit that keeps the body reading the genes the right way, the way that our cells did when we were young. That's one way. What I talk about, though, is a breakthrough in my lab that we're just reporting to the scientific world that we've figured out there's a clock in the body that ticks away and that we can actually now reach in and reprogram the body to not just feel younger, but literally be younger. And we've done work, of course, in mice, not in humans yet because it's very early. But what we've discovered is aging is not a one-way street. It's actually reversible. And that opens up all sorts of possibilities for the near future.
So why don't you give us an exclusive here? I get you keep touching on the fact that you have something to announce. Why don't you do that for us? I know you're not going to.
Well, I can touch upon it because it's actually available online. If you were to do a search for my name, Sinclair, and reprogramming and aging, you would find our work already is available. And so what the paper shows is that using a method called gene reprogramming, it's a gene therapy currently, we can reprogram parts of a mouse's old body or a damaged part of a mouse's body to repair itself as though it was very young again. For example, in my lab, if we take an old mouse that's over a year of age and it can't see very well, we all experience this over the age of 50, we can provide a set of genes to the mouse that reprograms the retina of the eye so that the eye is not just feeling better, it's literally gone back about 8 months in time. And so that the mouse can now see like it was young again. And that's, we think, just the beginning of the ability to reprogram various parts of the body so that they heal and function like they did when we were young.
And that's long-lasting? That's not short-term?
Good question. We don't know. It's really early days. We think it'll be long-lasting because we're reaching very deep into this epigenome and altering it, what's called DNA methylation, which is essentially the real inner workings of the age clock. And so we think that these should actually be a permanent age reset. And we don't know either how many times you can reset the retina or other parts of the body. We don't know if it's a one-time shot or you could reset 100 times. That's what's so exciting about this breakthrough.
See, this part is fascinating.
I know, we should have jumped right into this stuff.
So,
now we're out of time.
How far do you think you are from human trials? I mean, are we years?
For the molecules that mimic exercise and fasting, we have clinical trials ongoing across the road here at Harvard.
Okay.
And those are going very well. These are called NAD boosters, which I talk a lot about in the book. But the future is we're going to be trying gene therapy for patients with glaucoma. And if that works in about 2.5, 3 years from now, then we hope that it'll be used more widely.
I remember reading that it was announced by the scientific community. They were saying that the first person that's going to live to 150 years of age is already alive. There could be a baby out there right now. Do you agree with that sentiment?
The point I make in my book is nothing is inevitable and everything is possible. I think it's feasible that we could bring the average age up to 85, 90, maybe even 100 with the technologies that we have. But it's very hard to know in 100 years from now, when kids who are born today will possibly still be alive, what will they have? Maybe they could pop a pill and reprogram their entire body to go back 20 years or more. So I think it's possible that we could live far beyond what we can imagine today. I don't think I need to put a number on it. I think it's already exciting enough.
Sci-fi meets science. Dr. David Sinclair, professor of genetics at Harvard Medical School, one of Time's most influential people and author of the new book, Lifespan, The Revolutionary Science of Why We Age and Why We Don't. Thank you so much for being on the program.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
See, when we got to that part, I'm captivated, and our time's up.
Could have asked him 10 million more questions if he had just gotten to the meat of it. But.
Make sure you stay tuned. Coming up after the break, a story of recovery.